Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rivi, and over here we talk about fragrance, beauty, personal development, traveling. And today is a bit of a special video. So as I mentioned before, I'm actually currently in Denmark, so that's why my location keeps changing. I'm in Denmark right now. It's a bit of a cloudy day. I love cloudy days, by the way. I wanted to talk about my experience living in Denmark for the past 2 months, what my experiences has been as an American coming over to Denmark. That's what this video is about. So if you like the idea of that, if you like the idea of learning about an expat in a different country, then stick around, stay tuned, make sure you like and subscribe. So I work in tech and I work remotely. One of the amazing perks of my job is I get to travel around the world wherever I want. Sometimes I can get to work from different locations for months at a time. Right now I'm in Europe and I'm going to be here for a few months. So yeah, it's a beautiful, amazing perk. I'm so grateful for the freedom that my job gives me to do something so cool like this. I'm sure your major question out of the way is how are you able to do that? Now let's get into the nitty gritty. So we're going to talk about how my fashion has changed living in Denmark, what I think about relationships here, what relationships I've made, like platonic relationships, and dating as well as some other knick-knack thingies that I've kind of have been cultural differences that I wanted to share with you guys. Okay, first off, let's talk about fashion. So my fashion here is it's changed so much and I absolutely love it. And I actually really want to do a video about what Denmark has taught me about beauty and beauty standards. But just to kind of give you a little bit of a backstory, I used to live in Texas, which is very hot, and especially Dallas. And if you know anything about Dallas, you know that it's very hot. People don't wear a lot of clothes. So it's very different from moving to a cold country like Denmark. The fashion is completely different. I would say it's really akin to New York. Like if you've ever been to New York, in the winter is very much like that. So everyone is wearing long coats and scarves and wearing a lot of black and gray and cream. And honestly, I love the fashion here. Everyone looks like they're in the scene of a Men in Black. Like literally, I'll wear like a coat and a scarf and boots, and there's like a guy who's dressed the same exact way as me and he looks super stylish, a straight man obviously, and he looks super stylish and cool. So it's super amazing. I love that. And one thing that it's taught me in terms of beauty is that you can cover up more and still you can look so beautiful. Like, for me, I get a lot of compliments here, like even when I'm dressed like I'm wearing a long wool coat and a scarf and my hair up and boots, and people still compliment me and say how beautiful I look. And that has really taught me that you really don't need to show a lot. Yeah, I've learned, I mean, obviously I knew this, but truly experiencing that you don't really need to show anything to feel beautiful. You don't need to be half naked to be beautiful. Like you can just be yourself, be classy, be elegant, and it's so freaking sexy. And just in general, I think a lot of guys really appreciate that when you're covered up and you're classy and you're elegant and you're secure in yourself and your body and you're so beautiful. It's like the sexiest thing in the world. So I think I would say to a lot of young girls, you don't have to show a lot. You don't have to show anything to feel beautiful. You're beautiful just the way you are. Being elegant, being classy is so hot. So I'm going to share some pictures of what I wear nowadays on a daily basis. So yeah, that's about fashion. Here is they celebrate natural beauty, and the women here are generally beautiful, but really seeing women who don't wear makeup is really lovely. And one other thing I noticed was that, like, I went to a concert that my friend was performing at, and one of her dancers was pregnant, and literally there was like the guys in the audience like focused on the pregnant lady. Like they were so enticed by this pregnant lady, and apparently this is quite normal. So here they really appreciate and the natural body. Like, it's not weird, it's not creepy to them, to see a pregnant woman, to see naked bodies. It's just natural. And I think that's quite interesting. Okay, now to some of the fun stuff. Relationships here. I'll talk first about platonic friendships, and then I'll go into like dating and romantic relationships. So here, it's quite known to most people that it's quite hard to make friends here in Denmark. I think in all of Scandinavia as an adult, just because here a lot of people make their friends when they're like young, when they are children, and they kind of keep those friends for the rest of their lives, basically. Even if they kind of outgrow them, they don't like the same things anymore, they still keep those friends, which is always weird to me, but I mean, that's just like the norm here. So it's quite hard to make new friends, or it can be harder. And also Danish people feel this way as well, like everywhere, people from different countries, like they all feel this way about coming to Scandinavia. So something I have been doing is I love to play ping pong, I love to play chess, and so I kind of try and find different places that kind of hold that. So there's a bar here called Dupong. It's like they have ping pong and a bar there, so you can play, and it's really fun. One other thing that I've been doing, which I really recommend to anyone who's coming to Scandinavia or just traveling, is this app called Time Left. It's basically an app that sets you up with like 5 or 6 people. It's not dating, you meet new people and you have dinner with them, and it's super fun. And it's always a nice place, like a really nice fancy place to have dinner. And it's a group, and you talk and you get to know people. And we've never really gotten to the questions. We've kind of just like talked and gotten to know each other. And there have been so many experiences where like we've closed down the restaurant, we're like the last people to leave because we're just so enthralled in our conversations. And I've made so many good friends from that. Another app here, which actually one of my friends started, which I actually just became friends with this person, is called Dovento. And it's a small company similar to Meetup, but less creepy. And basically it's a bunch of, people create different events. So I've actually created some events there as well. And people who are interested will join, and it's super fun. So I've done like a cafe crawl, so going to different cafes together and talking and trying different pastries. And I've also done a girls' night drinks. That's been super fun. I actually met the owner there, and we've become really good friends that way. I've also done so many things. I've actually had Thanksgiving with a friend there. We've also had like a Christmas event. So it's been super fun. I totally recommend it. It's called Dovento. I'll actually write it down here. So if you ever come into Scandinavia, you can try it. It's also there. I think they're starting up also in Sweden and in Iceland. So definitely recommend it. That's how I've been making friends here. Obviously, there are also Facebook groups as well. But, for me as a woman, I noticed that a lot of the friends that are the people that try to reach out to me to become friends are guys, and they don't really want to just be friends. Okay, they want something else, and so sometimes it can be hard, especially as a woman. Like, you really just want to make friends, and people want something else. They don't want to just be friends. But there are good people out there. I've actually met a guy who is a really good friend of mine. He introduced me to a bunch of different women, and so he's one of my really good friends. I adore that man. His name is Chi. He also has a YouTube channel, which I will link down below. And he has a podcast, and I've been on it, and I've made new friends there. So yeah, you can find good people here, genuine people who really want to be your friend, not to get in your pants. Ladies, I'm talking mostly to you on that. Okay, so now to romantic relationships and dating. Here in Denmark and Scandinavia, they're also quite different with their dating. I'm from the US. I also used to live in Barcelona. And so the dating here is quite different. Here, Basically, most people meet through school, work, whatever, hobbies, or apps here because people are genuinely shy. Or I think because this society is a very feminist society, so men don't really approach girls here that much. I mean, I don't have that experience. Men approach me all the time. But yeah, men don't really approach Danish women here that much. So they always meet on like apps and stuff. And here's a feminist society where women can, they make as much as you, they can do anything you do. Like, it's not the same society that I come from in the US in terms of feminism. I don't really buy into that. That's just not how I want to live. But here it's very clear as day that this is a feminist society, and it's been like that for a very long time. So women here, if they want to have a hookup with a guy, they just say it. And yeah, it's just very normal. So a lot of people kind of sleep with each other before like getting to know each other, which is quite different from what I'm used to. Like in the US, we kind of court and date and everything like that before really getting into that. And that's kind of what I grew up with. Obviously, things have changed, but I still keep to my own values. But here, it's like they sleep together right away. And then if they like that experience, then they kind of keep seeing each other. But it seems like they see multiple people at a time, or they do that with multiple people at a time. And then when they're ready, then they'll have that conversation to be exclusive. And even then, if they say they're exclusive, who knows if they're truly exclusive. I've heard some really horrible stories about cheating here and infidelity and disloyalty. So yeah, that's their way, and that doesn't work for me. So when I've gone on dates with guys, I tell them right away, I do not do that. I am not that type of girl. I kind of tell them up front, and so I don't waste my time. And I think for me, at first it was kind of hard to like, because I'm keeping to my values of this is what I want, this is what I do. But at the end of the day, I just feel like it's just so much better to stick to your values, to do what feels right for you. I always say you don't have to go along to get along. You don't have to do what other people do to feel like you're normal or safe. Just stick to your values. So for me, I always stick to my values. In terms of dating, I think it kind of gets usually cut short because I always say like, I'm not into casual hookups. And here they are. That is that on that. For me, I think this being here has kind of really strengthened my faith and my values and my morals even more, being in such a society that is, I would say, so secular and lacking in any form of true morals. Like, it's very much a feminist dream to be here. But for me, I've kind of grown closer to going to church here. I found a really amazing church that I love, and it's just kind of grown. That's just what I want to say on dating. Now I'll talk about food and other little things that I've learned. So this is an amazing city because you can just go everywhere with the metro. The transportation is so incredible, and I love that. I love being able to walk everywhere, take the metro everywhere. When I used to live in Texas, I had a car and I drove everywhere, and it just kind of makes you a very impatient person when you live in a lifestyle like that where you drive everywhere. So I love this vibe of just taking the transportation everywhere. Like when I want to have dinner, if I'm hungry, I'll go to the grocery store and come back. I'll take the metro and come back instead of the convenience of maybe ordering Uber Eats or ordering groceries. You know, I don't really do that here. And I feel like a human being. Like I feel like a person again before COVID. I feel like normal. So I like that society. One thing I've learned is that this is a society that's based on trust. So basically they trust you completely. You can get on the metro and everything, but sometimes there is a metro attendant there that is there to check your ticket. And if you don't have it, you're paying $100 for a fine. So I would say always have your ticket. You know, I have the app on my phone, and honestly, each ride is like less than $1, sometimes $2, depending. It really depends on how far you're going. Basically, you turn on the app when you get on the metro, and then when you stop or you get off, you turn it off, and then it kind of calculates how long you've been on it and how much it would be. It's usually never more than $5. So yeah, always remember to have your card or your transportation, because you don't want to be stuck with a fine of $100. That's happened to me one time. Food here is great. The quality of the food here is incredible. The meats, like I have tried meats like pork neck that is so delicious. I love to cook anyway as a person, so I love the food here, the quality. I would say for me, the one thing I really miss is Whole Foods in the US, because I can go there, get all my gluten-free stuff, all my dairy-free stuff. Here it's like it had been a bit hard, or even like my sweeteners like monk fruit. I feel like here those types of things haven't kind of come that far here. They do have some gluten-free options. They do have some dairy-free options, but they don't have like natural or healthier sweeteners like monk fruit here. So I kind of order it. If you're like a girl like me who eats gluten-free, dairy-free, who is really health conscious, I would kind of think about that as well. I order a lot of stuff off of Amazon here, the German Amazon, because that's the one that ships to Denmark. I would be careful not to go to places where mainly tourists go to eat here, because it's just always super expensive. Like I once spent $30 on a burger here, and the burger was so shit. So make sure you try and go to places that more locals go to eat. Yeah, that's what I recommend if you want to go out to eat here. One other thing I would say is that in terms of like going to coffee shops and stuff here, the coffee shops that are like more local to Scandinavia, like espresso house and stuff, it's sometimes hard to find drinks that are not sweetened with sugar. They put so much sugar in everything here. They love their sugar here. They love candy, sweets, sugar. It's insane. So be careful with that. Like you're rarely gonna be able to find a chai latte without sweetener here. Just kind of be mindful of that if you're coming to Scandinavia. And finally, what else do I have? One thing else I've learned, and this kind of ties to like relationships as well, or romantic relationships, is that even though this is supposed to be like a feminist society, socialism, and things like that, it's so weird. The men here are even more, I don't know what the word is. They try and be they're a little bit more controlling than you would think men would be in a feminist society. Like when you create men who are stripped of a lot of their masculinity, there's something that they become naturally more aggressive in in that area, not in a good way. For example, I've seen a lot of men here, that I've gone out with, that they try and be so controlling. I'll give you an example. There was a guy that I was going out with, and we were just as friends. I made it clear that we were just friends. And he kept trying to order my food. And I was like, I don't want that. Because he kept trying to show me the foods, the local foods here. And I was like, okay, it's fine. But there's something that I just didn't want. And he kept trying to say like, no, I'm going to order it for you. And I'm like, okay. I don't want that. Like what I'm trying to say is sometimes the men here, they don't listen to boundaries. Like you need to really reinforce your boundaries here, because like I said, it's a feminist society. And with feminism, it doesn't foster the natural healthiness of masculinity here. Men are protectors and providers, and they want to give to you and everything. When you strip them of stuff like that, they become really toxic. And so they don't listen to boundaries here. Like sometimes I found myself really having to say no a lot, and it seems like no is not a word that they hear a lot here, because women give in to a lot of things and they kind of cloak it as feminism in terms of giving in to sex really early and stuff like that. So it seems like no is a very strange word for them here, and you have to really enforce your boundaries and stick to it really, really hard, because some guys, they can really try and push your boundaries. They can try and push you. And it's a very disgusting trait that I've seen, which is why I'm so glad to be an American. I'm so glad that masculinity is a thing in America, healthy masculinity. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to say on that, on being here in Denmark, in Scandinavia. Obviously, I've only been here for a few months, but I've learned a lot. I learned what I don't like. I learned what I do like. And yeah, that's it. So if you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below. What did you think about my experience? If you're Danish, don't be offended. This is my experience. You know, this is what I've experienced. So, you know, don't come for me in the comment section. All right. So have a good one. Bye.